Good morning, everybody. Welcome to webinar number 24, and we are going to speak about ISO 2. We are going to speak about ISO 22301, and this is to do with business continuity and how to define the scope of business continuity. And actually, it is about how do you define the scope. So I just want to make sure that my pointer is working and that I can go through. So please, the webinar guidelines. Please mute your microphone. Also, your video. If there's anything that we are making sure that everybody can actually have the streaming and that everything is working well. I will take about 15 minutes for my presentation, and then we will have 10 minutes left for questions. And please, in your Zoom chat box, we will be allocating 10 minutes to answer all the questions. And the attendance certificates, please make sure that this hour that you are spending now with us, that you've got record of it. So please give us in the chat box now at the moment, your name, your surname, your mobile number, your email address, and your company's details, that we can send for you an attendance certificate that is saying that you attended this hour of knowledge sharing to do with ISO 22301, but also specifically to do with the determining of the scope. And then the webinar shall be recorded, and we shall place it on our CAA YouTube channel. So please go there and subscribe. Guys, there's a body of knowledge that I can guarantee you that not one institute I can say in Africa, I want to go bigger, to say in the world, has got as much body of knowledge and or so much things in our library that is there for you. We've got at the moment, I think there's about 55, 60 videos there, an hour long each. So you can think of there's a lot of knowledge that is lying there. So what are we going to be doing today? I'm going to be addressing just quickly, an overview of Crest Advisory Africa, then how to define the organizational boundaries, how to define the boundaries of the ISO 22301, the BCMS. So BCMS is the acronym for Business Continuity Management System, which needs to be included in the scope, and then how to describe the exclusions of ISO 22301, in your scope, and how to describe the physical and geographical boundaries of ISO 22301, and how to develop the ISO 22301 scoping document. I will give you a practical example about that, and how to extend the scope as your business grows. And then I will, if there is time, I will also speak about our system, Islytics, and then endorsements, and then I will include there as well some time for questions, definitely. So who is Crest Advisory Africa? We have been established as a company the 13th of June of 2014. So we are 6 years plus old, or actually young. We are specializing in corporate governance across about 20 disciplines. So if we're talking about enterprise risk management, we are specializing in gap analysis there. We are specializing in control self-assessments there. We are specializing in maturity models there. We are specializing in risk champions, in the training of risk champions. We are specializing in the setup of the whole process. So if we are talking about one line item here, there's a lot of information that we're talking about here actually. So if you're looking at the topic now today, business continuity is extremely important in every business. And I think COVID has played a huge role. I can see on the tenders that is coming out now for the last 2 weeks, business continuity is the biggest ask that is now at the moment on the tenders. How to get ready for business continuity. It is a bit late after COVID, but I think the lessons learned through COVID is actually putting us in a position to actually re-look at the situation and go and If you just look at business continuity, there's a business impact analysis, there's a disaster recovery plan that you need to implement, there's business continuity strategies that you need to implement, and there's about seven to nine business continuity um, the strategies that we can choose from, and one of them is working from home. What a bargain. And then compliance management, health and safety, and we have got 17, we have been certified in 2 more at the moment, and we are busy with another 2. So we are going to be, by the end of, let's say October, sitting on about 21 management systems that we are working with. And that is from ICT management to enterprise risk management to compliance management, business continuity, etc. Now, if you're looking at this platinum partner within the PCB environment, the Professional Evaluation Certification Board environment is critical, because this is actually a measurement within the accredited partners of the PCB that is a Canadian company but has got a global footprint in 150 countries, that there's only 18, I want to say that slowly, there's only 18 platinum partners globally out of 1,921 accredited partners. So that makes Crest Advisor Africa, I want to say, unique. We are working in a niche market. We are working specifically with corporate governance, and we are the leaders in, I want to say, globally. So let's go on. Our 10 offerings that we have is, firstly, we are specializing in training and development. The second one is advisory services for the implementation of a management system. The third one has to do with audits. So we can do first line audits, second line, second party audits, third party audits. We can do independent audits. We can also do this international certification audits and surveillance audits that we are doing annually. We've got products. Our products are fantastic. It is world class, really. If you're looking at one of the products that has to do with our management system toolkits, you will see certain companies are advertising. I think there's only two of them globally that is certified, that is actually advertising, and that is, one is the PCB and the other one is a company in the Ukraine, and they are providing you with about 24 documents. We are going extensive. We are talking about 124 documents. So that is your whole management system already for you developed. And that is in our product, in our toolbox. Then our technology, you will see here on the right-hand side, Isolytics. Isolytics is a unique system software that we have developed with one of the universities in South Africa, one of the leading universities in South Africa, with the business, commerce, and engineering environments. And this has to do with, specifically, we have pre-populated 17, no, it is now 20 frameworks, whether it is COBIT or ITIL. And if you don't know what that means, it is information security management systems. There are 3 types globally: ISO 27001, then you've got ITIL, and then you've got COBIT 5. So those 3 we have already built it into this system, and you can actually go and check your maturity, your health of your system. So our technology is extremely advanced. And then the resources and talent management, we are working in that space as well. Project management is our forte. We are specialists in that. Cyber forensics, we have signed a partnership deal during COVID. So we are entering this market. Now, this is part of, I was just talking to you about our products, the ITIL, the COBIT, and ISO 27001. Now, cyber forensics has to do with ISO 27032. Now, that is cyber forensics, and you've got penetration testing, and you've got ethical hacking as well. So all those we are providing in the training as well, but we are also practically working with it in the environment that we are serving. And then our back office support. I think within COVID, you will see that I think the non-core people that is in a company has been retrenched. And I think there's a lot of people that is now at the moment either looking for work, but there's also companies that hasn't got back office support. So we have established during COVID this back office support service that we are sourcing out to other companies, and we will send to all of you a brochure in the next 2 days that is addressing that specifically. And then our flagship. Wow, this is for us I want to say this is for us the biggest, highest eagle that can fly over the plains everywhere, because this is international certification, and we are internationally certifying people in risk management as certified, as internationally certified ISO 31000 risk managers or lead implementers or lead auditors. So this is actually our biggest, I want to say, value add to all of you, because where you've got there your training, we can certify you in that as a person. Whether you are looking at advisory services as or audits, we are certifying you in that internationally, not locally, not geographically, internationally. So whether you are competing for a bit in Saudi Arabia or the Emirates, everywhere, you are certified. Just want to give you a quick overview. Um, we have been very fortunate to be, last year we have actually started with negotiations with an international company to extend our footprint, but also to extend our services to this company. Now, this company, we have signed the contract the 17th of June this year. So we are now having a footprint in 34 different countries or different territories globally, from Europe, the Americas, Asia Pacific, and the Middle East. And if you're looking at our affiliation with the PCB, with our PCB licenses, we've already got Africa and the Middle East. We have already got the license for Europe. We've already got the license for Asia Pacific. And the only license that we are waiting for now is the Americas. So the Americas will be in the next 2 to 3 months. We will work in that space. So let's talk about. Sorry, I just want to. Yep. So if we are, sorry, just want to. I was supposed to close that one. I want to go to that one there. There we are. So ISO 22301, business continuity, defining the scope. Guys, if you don't understand business continuity, you can enter into that space and you can either make a big success of it by luck, or you can make a big hash up of it, because really business continuity is like any other management system, yes, but business continuity has got its own language. It has got a unique language that we are speaking of RTOs, RPOs, um, um, failovers, fallovers, all those kind of things that has to be included within your business continuity environment. And if you don't understand your specific environment, you are going to write a scope document that is going to be either blowing up your environment that you are going to be assessed with and within, or you can define it so small that it is actually useless to have a business continuity management system. Can I just ask that we switch off all the audios, please? Just switch off all the audios, please. Thank you. Okay, so what does it mean? Scope is one of the most critical areas in any management system, because the moment that you are writing that document, you are actually the person that is saying, I want to be measured, because this is actually what you are saying. I want to be measured against the best practice in the world, against the best standards in the world, independently, with nobody knowing what I'm doing between this line and that line. And this is either 2 meters, 20 meters, 200 meters, 2000 kilometers. It is, you are defining that scope of the management system. Scope needs to be understood and needs to be described to take the risk out of a wrong scope determination. And I just want to say that if you're looking at scope, scope is actually what we are looking here is, even in your RFQs, in your tenders, in your request for proposals, sometimes we are getting tenders and RFQs that is so badly written that we cannot even understand what people want. The question is, do they know what they want? And if they don't know what they want, there's always going to be, just like a labor negotiation, that business is coming in with possibly an X percentage increase, but labor and the union wants to have double as much. Now, this is how far the two parties are from each other. And if you if if the one doesn't understand the other one, we are either going to overcomplicate it or overprice it. Can I ask if we can just switch off the? Just want to see who is on the participants that I can just. Neo, it was you, my girl. So please just switch off your just mute, and then we're not disturbing anybody. So please make sure that you are that you know exactly what you want and how many hours that you take. Because if you know, and I want to give you an example here. One of our clients, an aviation company or a regulator, they are so specific in their RFQs and tenders that they are saying to you, step 1, opening meeting, 1 hour. Step 2, this meeting, 2 hours. Step 3, that meeting, 3 hours. Research of the documentation, 4 hours. And they are actually giving you at the total, the whole project plan is already done. They give you the number of hours. So the only thing that you need to do is to multiply it with your rate per hour. And they've got the same thing for everybody. Everybody that wants to tender or that wants to participate in the RFQ or the RFP. And that is what is actually needed. Because if you know what you want, it is so fantastic to work with those kind of people, because then everybody is on the same page from day one. There is no change management that you need to do. So this makes it extremely hard or close to impossible for anyone to analyze and try to adhere to the requirements. Now, I want to go over to what is the requirements in terms of ISO 22301 for the management system in terms of the standard. So in terms of the standard, the organization, I just want to stop there with the word shall. Shall is a requirement. Shall is just like must. You must do it and you shall do that. So shall is like the 10 commandments in the Bible or anywhere that you are getting shall. Shall is a requirement that there is no negotiation about. Nothing. You shall do that. And if you don't do it, there is consequences. Define the scope of the management system in terms of that is appropriate to its size, the nature, and the complexity from a perspective of continual improvement. Now, those three determinants, or those three criteria areas, is very important, because size is critical to determine how much time am I going to spend in interviewing people? How much time am I going to spend to actually create awareness within a workforce of 50, of 100, of 200, of 500 people? And that is actually the determinant of how many hours do you need to have in your consulting area, how many hours do you need to have in your auditing area. And I will share with you when we are finished, I will share with you one of the the ISO's 27006 that has actually got for you a whole framework on time. So if you want to write a requirement, a tender, etc., you can actually go out and determine how much time do I need to have for the complexity, how much time, what is my geographical footprint, etc. And all of those is actually contributing to your time. So if you're looking at clause 4.3 of ISO 22301, now 22301 was the 22301 of 2012. Now just remember, 22301 of 2019 is different from the one that is in 2012, and you need to make sure that if you are putting out a tender or something or an RFQ, that you need to state 2019, not 2012, because then I am ahead of the bunch, and now I am competing with people that is still on still 8 years behind the time. You need to be current. You need to be relevant. You need to be suitable, effective, and efficient. And all those things comes in with just, it is just like you are having a cell phone that is the Nokia one, or you can have the Apple 12 now. It is the same kind of thing. It is about the functionality and the organization scope. So when determining the scope, the organization shall consider the objectives, external and internal issues referred to in clause 4.1.2. Now that has to do with a list of internal and external issues. The requirements that is referred to in clause 4.1.3, the risk factors. This is back again to risk management, because the 2019 version is a risk-based methodology on business continuity. And without understanding the risk in your environment, you are going to, I want to say, to flop. Sorry for that word, but you are going to fail. So the risk factors that could adversely affect the operations and activities of the organization within the context of their potential likelihood and consequences. And the scope shall be available. That's it. Very important. This shall be documented in a separate document that you have got that you have got a document that is actually describing this. This scoping document needs to be separate from all the other documents, because scope is actually your parameters of implementation. And the organization shall identify all elements of its operation where the management system apply and exclude where it is applicable. Now, I just want to go out of your scope. There has to be a gap analysis, or there has to be an analysis to determine where are you and where do you need to be. And that statement of applicability is actually where you're going through your scope document and you are saying, but I have got, this is within my scope, this is outside of my scope, this is in, this is outside. And when I have exclusions out of the scope, then you need to have a justification for that. If you don't have a justification, you cannot exclude that paragraph or that clause out of your scope. You cannot. Your justification is critical. And then an organization wishing to comply with the ISO management system shall at least document the management system scope, define the boundaries of the management system, and justify and document exclusions. Extremely important. You need to know what is excluded and what is included. So if you're looking at, just want to start here with this blue block first. The size of the scope is the first factor influencing the amount of effort for the project. That is so nicely, so well stated. The amount of effort, because the amount of effort culminates into time, cost, quality, people, resources, everything that you need to cost for. So that amount of effort is one of the key drivers of determining how much will something cost you. So a clear definition of the scope, focusing on the key activities of the organization, the key activities, not anything else, the key activities. You can have a big system that you want to have, but is everything material? Is everything critical? is everything key? No. Some of them are just there to actually fulfill a function, but it is a symptom of the the root cause. So your key activities of the organization is very important to get the support of the management, to mobilize your stakeholders for the project, and to justify added value to the interested parties. Now, if you're looking at this, a clear definition of the scope of the scope is an important factor for the success of the management system implementation. And we can look at this example here at the bottom. The extent of the scope will be primarily the primary factor influencing the amount of effort required by the project. Obviously, for a company of 20,000 employees with 30 divisions spread over 6 countries, it will be easier, faster, and less expensive to certify just one division or a key process rather than the whole organization. And I just want to have a bit of silence there, because you can see that you have got a choice in what do you want to certify. Do you want to have a big bang approach, or and then this is your risk. Your reward could be you can have a big bang success, or you can have a big bang failure. And you need to make sure that you have got the time, the resources, and everything else, because in your project risk register, you are going to be stating from the start that we don't have employees, we don't have this, we don't have resources, we don't have time, we don't have electronics, we don't have laptops, we don't have X, Y, and Z. And now the consultant or somebody that has to implement this, he has to be a magician to actually get people to actually get into this process. And then you are set up for failure, and everybody is set up for failure. So the scope can be demonstrated in, you can have 6 services, 6 departments, six critical environments, or 6 environments, but only environment 4, 5, and 6 are critical. So that is the scope of the company. Let's keep it there. Or if you're looking at at business continuity, you need to go and look what is your critical, and we will get to a diagram just after this. What is your your critical boundaries? What is your critical processes? What is your critical assets? What is your critical environment? What is your critical people? Because if you are talking about critical people and that person is, something happen, life happens, the person either die or go away or decide to resign, then you've got a big problem there, because you've got no succession. And we're looking at ISO 22301. There's one fantastic word that you need to to pen down somewhere. If you've got a single point of failure, if you've got a single access route to your building, if you've got a single exit route out of a building where you need to evacuate, then you are going to be having a problem there, and people are going to trample each other. They are going to kill each other just to get out if there is a fire. And we've seen this in many stadiums across the world already. Um, and that single point of failure can make that everything falls apart. So the boundaries of the ISO 22301 could be considered in 3 dimensions. The first one, what is your organizational boundaries? What does your organization determine that in my organization, are we going to certify our Australian office? Are we going to certify our American office, our European office, or are we going to certify everybody, or are we just going to have one of them certified? Then your operations systems. Now the question here is, what is creating for you the revenue stream? What is creating the revenue stream for you that you as a business can function? If you know what is creating for you that revenue stream, then your critical processes, your critical assets, your critical everything is then very easy, because your operating systems need to be aligned with that. So if we are looking at a bottling plant that is, let's say, that is bottling Johnny Walker or Jameson or Jack Daniels, etc., then your dry goods that has to be your bottles, your boxes, your labels, all those kind of things. That is a critical operational system, because if you don't have the cap, you cannot close the bottle. You cannot sell that bottle. It is going to go to waste. If you don't have boxes, you cannot ship it, and then it's going to go to waste. If you don't have um, uh, the wet goods, so we're speaking about dry goods and wet goods. The wet goods is your ethanol and those kind of things that you have to mix. Your whiskey itself. If you don't have those things, then it is going to waste. Your bottles are going to stand there. So if you are identifying your operations systems, then you know exactly where you are. And then your physical boundaries. Your physical boundaries can be in a specific place. It can be in a specific town. It can be in a specific country. And so if you're looking at organizational boundaries, so a community is a woven network of social relationships governed by a normative order applicable to participants who are bound by this network. And two approaches to this definition of boundary are commonly binding. The realistic approach is to adopt the definition of the boundary used by the users themselves. In contrast, a common approach is that the program manager will choose a boundary that reaches his or her analytical objectives, and in each approach, the project participants can focus on the actors, the relationships, and the activities. Now, that has to do with your boundaries of an organization can also be determined by observing the cycles of transactions of the corporation that circulate through the inputs, outputs, and performance. And this is the example that I just gave you of the bottling plant. The boundaries of the management system can be the assignment of resources for process improvement defines the management system boundary for the system. So the organizations have in fact a considerable flexibility in determining what constitutes a process involvement. Now, um, so some of the people on this webinar are coming from the diamond mining and sorting and evaluating industry, and I just want to give you an example there. In one of the companies that is actually sorting all the diamonds to give it out to the world for sales, they've got a quality management system there, ISO 9001, and that quality management system is not for the whole company. It is just for the training company. It is just for the training division within that company, because the training division is actually the assurance provider that the people are the sorters, etc., are actually the people that is qualified to see and identify and value that diamond. You don't have to do it for the whole company, no. But if we're talking about health and safety, then we are speaking about something else, because health and safety is for everybody, especially for your operational people. That's different things. Now, if we are going to business continuity, then you will go and determine who has got their hands on the product, who has got their hands on the valuable processes that is actually involved there. From the moment that let's use the diamond, that the diamond is entering into or being excavated, from that process where it is sifted, where it is cleaned, where it is actually being initially sorted, all those things, that is your critical environment. Everything outside of that is not critical, really. It is not critical. So you have to look at the management system, at what is your critical assets, your critical processes, your critical management system environment that you're working in. Your physical boundaries has to do with as part of the project, you implement the management system. The identification of the physical boundaries is often the easiest for the project team. The physical boundary of a system can be as simple as the engine manufacturing or the human resources department. That's simple. At one of the big mines, we are at the moment within ISO 31000, within ISO 18788, within other ISOs. We are focusing on, let's start at the place where you can influence the most. That is usually the head office. That is usually the 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 policymakers. That is usually the guys that is having an input into the board. So if you are looking at the physical boundaries, I would say be as close to the decision makers as you can. Because if you have got success and the board and the exco is seeing that you've got a success, then they will give you more money to actually roll it out into the whole company. So look at that, make sure that you've got that. And then defining your scope, there's a few activities that you need to do. So this is what we have talked about: defining your organizational boundaries, defining the boundaries of the system, defining the physical boundaries, defining your management system scope, changes to the scope, we will talk about that, extension of the scope as well, and what is your operations policy after that. Now, if we're looking at defining your organizational boundaries of ISO 22301 in your scope, we are looking here, as I said, a key process. And if you look at that, it is all the key processes. If you're looking at a department, it is a department or all the departments. The organization as a whole, the organization and its stakeholders, you determine what you want to determine. And if you're looking at this, the first scope boundaries to be determined are the organizational boundaries. This has to do with the organizational units, the departments, the service project, the subsidiaries, etc. The organizational structures and responsibilities, the business processes like sales management, procurement, etc. And then if we're looking at this, the deliverables from that activity are the description of the organizational boundaries with documented justification of exceptions. I just want to ponder there quickly, with documented justifications of exceptions. So you need to evaluate each and every sentence in the standard and determine, is that thing applicable on me or not? Can I say yes or can I say no? And if you're saying no, you need to justify it. It is not just saying no and you are okay with it. No, you need to give valid reasons that the certification body can actually sign it off to say that, okay, that's okay. But you are going to have on your certificate that exception. On your certificate that you are going to get is going to say ISO 22301 certified, excluding clauses 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4, 8.5. Then we're talking about second one, description of organizational structures included in the management system. Identification of business processes and information assets. Very important here because people are thinking that business continuity is IT. No. Business continuity has to do with every process, even if there's an evacuation. That is an interruption in your business. You cannot sell anything if people are standing outside of the building. You cannot answer a phone if somebody's standing outside of the building. Business continuity is there must be a seamless process of all your business activities and functions to be executed at any time within your working hours, whether you are working 8 to 5, whether you're working 7 to 4, whether you're working 6 to 12, 12 to 6, it doesn't matter. There must be a seamless process. Seamless. And one of the biggest, I want to say here, in business continuity, one of the biggest challenges, especially in people in companies that is working 24/7 or 24 hours and 365, is shift changes. Shift changes is usually the biggest challenge that you've got because people are leaving their allocated positions or posts, and they are coming to a central point and they have to give over to other people. And if that process are not actually well defined and well exercised and well tested, you can have that position. I was fortunate to be designing, to be designing, and this is not brag, to be designing the some of the processes within the Gautrain um, transport system. Now, one of the big things were whether it is operations, whether it is maintenance, whether it is security, whether it is safety, what do we do during shift changes? And how do we change shifts? Do we change shifts all at the same time? Or do we change shifts 10 o'clock in the morning and work until 4 o'clock, and there's a shift change there that you are ready for the 4 o'clock peak, that you are actually working with your time schedules aligned with your business requirements. Business requirements in any labor relations environment is your joker card. You've got the ace there. If the business requirement is saying that we need to be a full staff at the peak hours, in the mornings, in the afternoons, it doesn't matter when, then you are going to be a full staff then, a full staff complement then. You have to be. You cannot function then on a staff complement of 2 or 3 or 4 if you are sitting with 30, 40, 50 people there. It needs to be a full staff complement. And then identification of the direction and processes of decision making. As I have explained now to you, we are making decisions to ensure business continuity. And business continuity, I want to say it again, it is not only IT based. It is a simple process of a shift change. It's a simple process on a mine of the shift changes and how people are actually changing shifts. It is a simple process of people going on lunch, and then you've got an hour that people are out of the offices. Okay, so who is answering the phones? Who is who is actually helping somebody because the offices are open but nobody is there? The lights are on but nobody is there. So you need to be looking at everything within your operating systems, within your equipment, within your networks, within your processes, within your people, within your databases, to identify what is business continuity. So the second level of the boundaries of the scope that have to be defined are those of the management system. So in the management system, you need to go and determine which clause is going to be the most important clauses that you are going to, and prioritize that. And if you can go so far to have it a priority 1, priority 2, a priority 3, and a priority 4, because you can always move that priority levels around to say that a priority 4 has now suddenly moved into a priority 1. I am busy at the moment with a with a company in the Western Cape that is working with museums, the South African museum environment. Now, how do they make money? They, before COVID, money making was for them very easy because they've got these spaces where they can have all this art in, and they can rent it out to people to actually come and have a function there, a cocktail function, etc. You can have buses from the schools to actually come in and actually go through all of these. Now, within COVID, none of that is permitted. So their revenue streams has actually dropped completely. They don't know. At at the moment, we are busy looking at risk and business continuity for them. How do we make the museum environment that is huge? How do we make them profitable again? Because they get subsidies from the state, yes, but that subsidies doesn't even pay their personnel bill. Do they close down or do they redefine things? Now, this is a fantastic, challenging opportunity for us to actually look outside of the box. How do we actually bring the museums now to the people instead of the people coming to the museums? So the physical boundaries is, where in the world do you want to actually implement your BCMS? Do you want to be done in Africa, in Australia, in one part in Argentina, possibly in Canada, in London, and based on London at the head office, now you've got a license to operate in the world? No, that doesn't work like that. And the question is, people are always asking, how much does it cost? it is not about how much does it cost. It is how much are you going to lose? Because one tender that you are losing, that is, we've got one of our clients is certified in Australia. Now they are doing big business on the mines here in Africa and across the globe. And in South Africa, the companies that is actually working with it now has actually seen the light. And I'm so glad that the supply chain has seen the light to say that you have got a certificate that is actually saying that you are certified only in Australia and only at your head office, not even on the mines. Now you want to come here to South Africa and you want to work with a different workforce, and we've got 10, 15 mines here, but you are only certified at the head office in Australia. So if you don't get the certification in South Africa for the South African environment, you cannot work here, my friend. And one of those contracts is 15 billion rand. And okay, if we're talking about dollars, that is a big chunk of money. But in rands, it is bucket loads of money. And these guys are asking me, how much does it cost to get certified? 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000? It doesn't matter. How many of those contracts are you going to lose? How many of those billions are you going to lose? That is the question that you need to ask yourself of. Nothing else. Do I want to be in the global space or not? Or do I just want to retract to Australia, to the head office, and sit there and hope that we can make money? I want to give you 3 practical examples quickly. We are on time still. We are on 11:46, so I've got 4 minutes. I have experience in this project, the Gautrain. Now the Gautrain is an 80-kilometer rapid rail system that is actually moving people between Pretoria and Johannesburg. So with stations in Sandton, in Sandton, in Rosebank, and in Park Station, and then Midrand, etc. And you can see with every station there's actually an airport, and that airport is going to be linked as well. And this one is going to Oliver Tambo. The second one that I want to talk about is toll roads. Now the toll roads around Johannesburg is actually all these gantries that is now in red here. And the question is, if you don't know what is your environment, you are going to exclude one gantry. You are going to exclude a fall-over system that has to work with that gantry itself. You are going to exclude possibly the system that is actually the CCTV cameras and the infrared cameras that is actually taking a picture of the driver, of the license plate, of the make and model of the car, that you can do the billing of the toll gates. And if your billing system is not correct, then you cannot do enforcement. The enforcement is actually gathering the money to pay it over to government. Because e-toll, this is the guys that is actually working with the tolling system in Johannesburg, as well as the Gautrain. The Gautrain through Bombela Operating Company and Bombela Concession Company are just, I want to say, toll collectors. Just like in the Bible, they are just toll collectors. They are actually collecting the money, pay it over to the client, that is the Department of Transport, and then only they are getting their stipend or their monthly fee to operate their business. There's nothing. So the trains can be having one person in it, or 1.4 million or 1.5 million people in it. It doesn't matter. The train needs to be on the rails. So if you're looking at that whole space, the question is the e-tolling company, is it an IT company, or is it a tolling gathering company? That's a good question. The Gautrain, is it a train building, etc. company, or is it a collector of transport money for the Department of Transport? So they are actually a key vendor. And with that key vendor, you need to be making sure that your vendor risk assessment is done, that your third party risk assessment is done, that your relationship between each other is actually so healthy that no one has got anything um, to lose here. You must you must get that and understand it. And if you're looking at even this buses are actually the same. Within the Gautrain, we were sitting with 146 buses that were serving 946 bus stops. That is our feeder system to the train. That is our feeder system to the economy of this country. And if we're looking at this, if you have got a wrong vision, then, my friends, you are going to have a misalignment with your business continuity, because then you are going to be thinking, I am an IT company that is working with these e-tolls. And because I'm an IT company, I just have to be certified in ISO 27001. No ways. You have got so many complex processes, from customer service, where you are actually selling um, the transponders, to the management of those transponders, to actually everything else around that. The whole client service is actually your service. And if you are only thinking that you are an IT company, you are making the biggest mistake. And the question is always, where do I make my money? If I am not paying over the money of the Gautrain to the concessionaire, they will not pay over the money to us. And then you are in breach of contract. And you can take a contract worth of 20 years of service. You can lose it in 3 months. And that would be stupidity. So that so all three, all of these projects we have been exposed to in a transport environment, even an aviation, the regulator of aviation, even the regulator of the rail environment. If the businesses at the airports are not doing business, how is the aviation regulator getting money? How? And this is the same with every other thing there. And if you have got a misplaced idea of what is your true objectives, your business continuity is going to have a smash into the ground. So I want to ask you, I'm closing over this page on business continuity. The scope definition and parameters can make or break a project. It can make and break a management system. It can make and break, I want to say, your reputation and the reputation of the contractor that you are using. And I have been there. I've been there during COVID. We have we have experienced big challenges with big companies because of the definition of the scope. We are saying that it is A, B, and C because of the scope that was there, and because they are sitting in financial challenges, they're saying, but sorry, we never said that. Now that is not right. I want to invite you, if you want to have access to this flip book. I just want to get this open here quickly. If you want to have access to this flip book, this is actually defining for you the boundaries of information. Forget about the information security management process. It is a fantastic book that is actually explaining to you what is your business mission, your values, what you need to have there, everything that you need to have there. So all of this is explained in this book in detail. It is actually a very nice book. So if you want to have access to this, give your name and your surname and everything in the chat box, and we will send it to you. Mahala, gratis verniet. And you are getting knowledge that you can actually say that we have got that. All right. The second one is I want to show you is that if we're looking at a simple process of how do you actually sit down and determine the scope. I am going to, someone use this one. Nope. Sorry. Neil, are you okay with this? So we are going to be looking at a management system that we now recently started to implement, and the big thing that we are talking about is, firstly, what is how do we get to the statement of applicability. Now, on the statement of applicability, you will see that this is actually giving you, that row there is giving you the scope. Is it a yes or is it a no? Very simple. Very simple. So is it a yes or is it a no? If it's a no, so you need to consider each and every line item that is there in the standard and say that there's a shall. Shall I do that? Is it in an internal and external context? Is it applicable? And now I'm saying no here. How do
Apologies,
I just...
Nico, we can't see the screen.
Oh,
Sorry to interrupt.
sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Corey.
Okay.
Just want to... It was supposed to be on following everything. Sorry. There you are, guys. So if we are looking at at this clause, each and every one, and there are 579 questions that is actually asked here, and each of them you need to answer, each of them, because you need to be having full knowledge of your whole process. Now, as you can see here, this is just a random process, but I want to say here that these we have looked at, and this one we are saying yes, or sorry, no, we cannot, this is not within our scope, and because of that, this is our justification. Yes, it is, and that one, or no, it is not, and that is our justification. Yes, I don't have to have a justification. No, there's my justification. And that justification is actually coming into the document. I just want to make sure that I am going to get the right document here. So that is going to go into the document that you are going to be using in terms of, and these are the documents. Corey, just tell me if you can see.
Not yet, Nico.
Okay, thank you. Just want to get that one there. I want to have my screen shared. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so if you're looking at the document, the application form, this application form, and as you can see, this is from the certification body, and this is all the rules that we have to comply with from code of ethics, etc. And that application form is actually saying that if we are looking at this application form, then you will see that, Corey, just confirm, can you see?
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. So in this, the second paragraph, and this is where you are actually applying to be certified within ISO 22301, it doesn't matter. But there is your scope. And your scope need to be, it says there, please indicate which processes and areas of the organization you plan to certify. Important, please be precise, since this will serve as a fundamental information for audit planning. This description shall serve as the main information for the composition of the scope statement of the certificate in case of the positive certification decision. So you need to be stating here what is within the scope and what is outside of the scope. And everything that is outside of the scope, you need to determine, or you need to justify. I just want to, so this is the application form. I just want to show you, I've been talking about the size, complexity, and those kind of things. And I just want to go and show you, this is a fantastic standard to have actually, 27006. So 27006 gives you the whole auditing space, auditing environment. And I just want to go through to the table here that is actually saying to you how much time is actually needed for an audit to be done. There you are. So if we're looking at if we're looking at this order time chart, so if I'm saying there's 1 to 10 people, then for a quality management system, that is ISO 9001, it is between 1.5 to 2 days. The EMS, environmental management system, because it is more complex, is 2.5 to 3 days. For an information security management system, it is going to be 5 days, because the complexity and the size of the complexity and the nature of, I want to say, this management system is determining that there needs to be more effort, time and effort put in. So if you are saying that I want to certify my whole organization, fantastic, and my whole organization is 500 people, then we are looking at that space there. And now I'm saying that I want to do it in information security or business continuity. Business continuity is actually the same as the ISMS. So you can very easily say that the internal audit days is 16.5 days. Now, if you go back to that previous document that I was showing you, this one, then you will see here that the PCB or the certification body will include the 16.5 days, and then 50% of that, 8.25 is going to be for stage 1, 8.25 is going to be for surveillance audit, and 8.25 is going to be for your, and there's your whole 3-year plan. Everything, you know exactly what you are in for. You know the costs, you know everything. So on that note, I'm going to close off. We are now on at 12 o'clock. So I'm not going to, as I said earlier, I'm not going to speak about anything else. So I want to ask you, please, thank you very much for your time and for attending this. And please communicate. Is there any questions? Is there any questions that we need to answer?
There's no questions, Nico.
Thank you very much, Melissa. So guys, thank you very much. We will see you next week, Wednesday again. And I hope that this was a good knowledge sharing for you. And sorry for the 2 minutes. Apologies from my side. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Bye.
Yes, bye.
Thank you, Nico. Good day, everybody. Bye-bye. Take care. Keep safe.